Hey guys, what's going on? Paul here and welcome back to another Cardano video. If you are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe and the notification bell so you never miss an update. I do also really appreciate all likes, comments and shares as they really do help in the YouTube algorithm and also getting the word out there about this Cardano content. So this video is going to focus on the ADA price. So where are we in terms of Cardano and where has the ADA price been over the last while? How has it performed? And where are we going? I will talk about levels that I am personally looking at on the chart. First, I'll bring up on screen how it's been performing. Then I'll go over to my own charts and show you where I see important levels in terms of both Bitcoin price and the USD price. So looking on my screen here, you can see Cardano against... You can see it in USD value and the Bitcoin value and Ethereum. But look, I don't really care what the price is against Ethereum. Bitcoin and USD are the important ones. And Bitcoin for me is even the more important price. A lot of people will just look at the USD price and not look at Bitcoin. But the Bitcoin price has a big impact on where the USD price of Cardano or any other altcoin is. So I will talk a little bit more about that in this video, but I'm also going to do a separate video on that, on why I look at it more. And I will also, in that video, I will look at what all these support lines and resistance and trend lines and what all of that actually means. I'm going to touch on some of it because that's how I got my own prices that I'm going to tell you. But then in the separate video, I'll go more in depth for people who want to understand all of that type of terminology. So over the last year, the USD price of ADA is up 178%. Really, really great gains. And even against Bitcoin, it's up 21, nearly 22%. So you can see over the last while, and you will see this when I go onto the charts, ADA against Bitcoin is really stuck in a downtrend. But I will talk about that in a second. So this is my main chart that I look at for the ADA price. So you'll see this is ADA against Bitcoin. So this is how many Satoshis one ADA is worth. We had a huge run up earlier in the year and now we are stuck in a fairly heavy downtrend. And I will talk about the levels down below in a second. And the reason that I am looking at the Bitcoin price is because, look, I'm a long-term holder of crypto. I only see crypto going one way. When you zoom out and look at the bigger picture, I only see it going one way, and that is up. Obviously, I'm not a financial advisor. Anything I say here is my own opinions and all that usual disclaimer stuff. So take this as a part of your research. Hopefully you learn a few things from it as well. Let me know in the comments down below your own opinions on this type of stuff as well, because look, I'm one person with an opinion. Even the lines, the trend lines and all that I've drawn, other people will draw them slightly different as well. These are other charts that I will go into in the next video that talks more on the reasoning of these price levels and what the trend lines mean. But on top here, you can see the ADA versus the Bitcoin price. Again, it's been going down, but I put them side by side with the ADA USD price. So you can see that the USD price has been holding fairly steady the whole time. Now, this is back since the beginning of October. So while the price against Bitcoin has been falling, the USD price has been holding steady. Now, in some other coins, I would be looking at this and thinking, maybe it's time that I need to reassess my position because it just seems to be falling against Bitcoin and I'm better holding my money in Bitcoin. But for me, Cardano is a long-term project. It's one that I have held my coins for a long, long time at this stage, and I plan to hold well into the future. I've even set up my own stake pool. So I am invested in Cardano for the long term. When you look, just to show you the impact of, this is the Bitcoin price, Bitcoin USD price, and this is the ADA Bitcoin price. So you can see this happens. This is a trend you will see across multiple altcoins. When Bitcoin takes off and runs like this, generally altcoins all suffer. What we need is consolidation for Bitcoin and trending sideways. So what you're kind of seeing here between this and this, Bitcoin has been going sideways for the last, what are we on, a 1 hour chart? Last 48 hours maybe, 24, 48 hours. And you can see that down here, the Bitcoin ADA price is starting to see some upward movement, which is good. Generally, when Bitcoin goes sideways, you will see some of the money that has went into the Bitcoin pump then starts coming into altcoins. So now let's start looking at some particular levels on this. So when we come over here, you can see this is the ADA Bitcoin. Let's look at the ADA USD chart first. And these are, I see that we're in a trending zone at the minute for the ADA USD price. So this is basically between 7.5 cents and 11, just a little bit below 11.5 cents. So back here, this was back in February. We were coming up at 7.5 cents and we got the big rejection. But this was in the, don't want to say the word, YouTube doesn't like it, but the virus time, and the whole market took a big dump. So eventually we did come up again and we got through this level that was the resistance here, and we got up and we came back down and it flipped over to support. So support is basically something that's holding the price up. Resistance is something up on top that's stopping the price going up through it. A lot of times you will see that when we finally break through a support, or break through a resistance, it then flips and becomes the support if you come back and test it. So you can see here, this was the level we needed to go through. We went through it, came back down, and it then formed support, where we went up, down, again, up, broke up here. I didn't count this in my trending channel, as I see this more valid down here. We came down, and the level here that had been this 7.5 cents, that had been the resistance here, support here, held true as support here, and we're back up. So again, falling anything below 7.5 cents for me in ADA is a bit of a worry if you're a short-term holder. If you're long-term, it's not as important. And breaking out above 11.5 cents is the big one for me personally. Once we break out above there, then we need to break out and then flip this to a support, but a support that we can hold this time. So that's where I'm looking at on USD terms. And if we come back to the, let's bring up the one with the downtrend channel. So you can see why I've drawn this here. It has held the support here, 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 here. It isn't breaking down any further than this at the minute, but it is a fairly sharp decline too. So we come up and this was resistance here, and this is where we started at. So when we zoom right in on this, you can see I have levels here. Actually, I'll talk about the levels in a second, but just the downtrend. We need to get out of this downtrend against Bitcoin. We need to break out of this and start breaking up in order to really see proper growth. For me, the 620 level is going to be very important. We may potentially break that around here and then moving up. So depending on when we get over here, what level this is at here, it is basically breaking out of 660. Is breaking out of this downtrend. So it's breaking 660 sats. So it's breaking out of that and holding above it is very important for the ADA price. So if I remove the downtrend there, and we'll just stick with the support and resistance lines that I have down here. Now I've drawn these lines based on the past history. If I zoom out first just to show you these, for anyone who doesn't know they work, I've touched on them briefly so far, but basically, these are levels that Bitcoin or any currency either struggled to go past or, well, basically, yeah, they struggled to go past at a stage in history. So that's either going above them or going below them. So if it struggled to go above them, then that is a resistance level. And if it struggled to go past them, that is a support. And as you'll see, a lot of these levels flipped from resistance to support or from support into resistance. When I come over here, you can see the 620 level, which we've already broken down through. It was a resistance for a long time. I think even further back. Here, it was resistance. We briefly broke out of it here, but again, as soon as we came down to test it, we fell through it. And it was resistance here, 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 and eventually we broke out of it and really flew off then. 581 is the next one then. So again, it was a resistance here. It then flipped and became support here. It was resistance here. It was resistance here. It was support before that over here. So again, these lines are important lines in the history of the ADA price against Bitcoin. You then have 513. So again, this was support here. It was resistance when we were down trending around here. And once we got through it, it became support. It definitely is a line I do not want to see the ADA price fall through. You can see at the minute we have held up the 581 level. Now these are not 100% exact numbers. It's somewhere in that 580, 81 range. And again, we are coming back up to the 620. So breaking 620 is important, and staying above that is important as well. If we fall below the 581 sats, personally for me, it's going to be looking at adding to the bag of ADA that I already have. If we fall below 581, I do see that the drop is definitely falling down towards the low 500s. It's not where I want to see it. And looking at this here, I don't see it anytime soon. But if we did, for me, that's a buying opportunity, because at them kind of prices, I see a lot of upside gain for turning some of the Bitcoin that I have into more ADA to build up them bags even more. If I was coming in here as someone without any at the minute, would I buy at these prices or would I wait for the low 500s? I definitely wouldn't wait for the low 500s because they are not a guarantee. For me as a bag holder, they are somewhere that I would add to my bag. But right now, if I come in here and I was looking at buying, I would DCA into the price. So DCA is dollar cost average. Okay, so in this example, let's say you have $1,000 that you want to invest in ADA. In the dollar cost average strategy, what you would do is split that into smaller amounts. So rather than buying $1,000 at one set level, you split it into different amounts. So for me, I'm going to use 3 different bags in this situation. So I'm going to split it into $500, $250, and $250. So if I go in and I set a buy for $500 worth of ADA at 11 cent, I would get 4,545 ADA. Now, I set 2 lower buys, one at 10 cent for $250 and another one for $250 at 8 cent. So if it comes down and hits 10 cent, I get another 2,500. And if it comes down to 8 cent, I get 3,125 ADA for that $250 buy. So that means after all of that has happened, I will have spent $1,000. I will have got a total of 10,170 ADA at an average buy price of 0.098 cent. So what DCA means is that if I put my $1,000 in at 11 cent, my buy price would be 11 cent. So that's my break-even price. But if I DCA'd in, which is putting in lower down bids, my price could be down to 0.098 cent. I will go through this more when I do a follow-up trading video that's more on the specifics of trading rather than individual price points, but I hope this explains it. There's risks on both sides. It's a less risky strategy for your capital if you DCA in. The other side of it is you risk missing out on a move. So it depends on your risk level, whether you're just going to dump it all in or whether you're going to DCA in. DCA is one of the better strategies. It's one I always use myself when I am leverage trading Bitcoin or anything else. I will DCA in. So I hope this video has been some help to you. A bit of rambling in there. If it's something we're going to run as a weekly episode, maybe even live streams at some stage, then I will definitely tidy things up, take opinions on board of where we need to go with it. But let me know down below what you think anyway, and I will talk to you guys very soon. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, and give it a share. Thanks, guys. See you soon.